even if you don't meet someone from that group, but because your social network has widened, you may meet your future partners,
To a friend,
cousins.
friend,
Yeah, it's a friends friend kind of thing, because we naturally like connect people as human beings. So if you meet someone's friends, maybe single and available, they will be able to connect you with.
Besides having that conversation with a potential partner,
Mhm.
is it wise to also have that discussion with the siblings if they have
Oh
siblings?
yes, of course, because they are parents.
Yeah.
Like just because she's a sole caregiver doesn't mean that all the responsibility will fall on her or his shoulder.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, like that's how a family or sibling should work.
And if you're single ladies out there, you got to stop thinking like that. You don't make the assumption that they are incapable to take care of themselves,
Yep.
and they really just want you to have your life.
Yeah.
But you have decided that it's probably easier just to be there, and then after that you blame them for all that, right? So hi Yvonne.
Hi Karen.
Okay, so we are in Midlife Mojo. We are having a little tea to discuss with Yvonne here about dating and getting more women a little older, in their 35 mix, about the dating game and how to juggle with their career and their work life. So how are you doing, Yvonne?
I'm doing great, especially I see you. Always great to see you, Karen.
Thank you. So right now, we are kind of prepping up an event, and we want to share with a lot of women, especially those who are in their mid-30s, struggling with, the stresses of work.
Mm-hmm.
What can you advise for them to meet their potential partner, or even just a companion, really?
Yeah. Well, it's a really good question, first of all, because here at Love Wins, we do have a lot of women in their mid-30s onwards coming forward and say, look, I've really spent a lot of my years pursuing the career, and I have to start prioritizing about family, about myself, looking for a life partner.
Okay.
So a lot of them will always come to me and say that, can you find me a partner? Because I'm a matchmaker, by the way. And also, if they want to find someone naturally or organically without the help of a matchmaker, I will always say that, develop some interest, because having an interest, you will naturally be looking for the network, like a group of people who share the same
like
interest.
A common thread, right?
Yes. And, I know that in big cities like in Singapore and KL and even in Penang, there are a lot of interest group, people who get together for certain interests, either it's music or even movies club or reading club, book club, that sort of things. Just join. I mean, put yourself out there. And I always say that even if you don't meet someone from that group, but because your social network has widened, you may meet your future partners,
to a friend,
cousins. It's a friends kind of thing, because we naturally like to connect people as human beings. So if you meet someone's friends, maybe single and available, they will may be able to connect you with. Yeah.
So before we go on, I forgot to ask you what is Love Wins and what do you do in particular?
Okay, here I'm the founder of Love Wins. We are actually a dating and matchmaking agency. So what we do is there are three main services that we provide. The first one, of course, is matchmaking. Then the second one would be dating events. Yes, and also last one is coaching. I personally do dating and relationship coaching.
Okay.
So we serve a lot of single professionals who probably are struggling or like having some challenges finding partners, or those who are in relationship. They wanted to, if they face some challenges and they do not have someone to navigate or help them to anchor or find direction to move forward. So they will come to us for coaching.
Okay, so like a one-to-one relationship coaching.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I mean, given that we talked a lot about the 7-year age and all those things, and so with our current lifestyle, with a lot of couples both working and having to juggle family and career, is that a huge factor in a relationship breakdown? Is that one of them?
Well, I think work stress is definitely one of the big factor.
Right.
But also, I think having family, especially couples who have young children, because having one additional family members would actually increase the financial burden
True.
and the mental stress as well, especially children going to school.
Right.
You worry about them, whether they can pass, whether they can graduate, and then
True.
also you have to prepare like college funds for them.
Right.
So it adds on to a lot of like additional stress to the marriage itself.
Okay.
And I always share with people that marriage is really hard work.
Yes.
If you become parents, that's an additional responsibility. So I feel that the work and also the parental responsibilities are two major
right
factors for stress.
But with finances, I mean, in my view, correct me if I'm wrong, finances is one of the biggest reason for a marital breakdown.
Yep.
Am I right?
Definitely. Because in fact, if you look at the statistics, the one of the biggest or like the main cause of breakdown or the divorce is actually finance.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you mitigate something like that? I mean, you can't change it overnight.
Well, you cannot, because I mean, like we all know that the cost of living is on the rise.
Yeah.
You know, like it's getting more and more expensive.
Very challenging.
Yes, especially in the city, you know. So I would say that it's always good to have a check with your partner. Like you could be working and earning the money, but do you have the financial savviness to prepare for the rainy days? And it's always, I would say, an act of balance. You want to prepare for the rainy day, but you also want to be living in the moment. That's always a balance. It's an art that both husband and wife or mom and dad will have to sit down and plan and think about, do we have funds for the rainy days in the future? And do we have funds, you know, the every advance for their present? Yes. So you need to have that, the funds, because if you just work for the future and you don't see, you are yet to experience the fruit of your hard work. Yeah. It's really hard to push forward.
Yeah, it's true. But it's hard conversation though, especially if you have a spouse who maybe have very little financial savviness, you know, spend haphazardly. How do you bring that conversation in, right? Is that probably part of your relationship coaching?
That is actually one factor that we actually coach about and focus on.
Okay.
I think the beauty of coaching is the accountability is on one part, as opposed to like the marriage counseling where you bring both parties in. So like, and I know that a lot of times the wives are usually the ones that more keen on like, how can we work on this together? But it's always hard to bring the other partner on board.
Okay.
So sometimes they come to coaching to have a change. Well, I think usually the wife or the husband will come forward first, depending on which area of coaching they're looking for or would like to be coached on. Then it was a lot of times it's a change of perspective. You talk about like starting a really difficult conversation. We call it a crucial conversation. Sometimes it's not about just finances. It can be intimacy issues. It can be parenting issues. So whatever it is, it always starts with one person to realize that, okay, is there anything I can bring forward? Is there anything I can do on my part? Because when it comes to coaching, the accountability and action is still falls onto the client themselves. Yeah,
they have to be accountable.
Yes. Sure. So if they can bring themselves forward and be the one that start to change, then it will have the repercussion and the impact on their partners.
Exactly. But I think it's also how you phrase during that coaching, right? Not accusatory.
No.
So that is also one of the tips with coaching is like we don't want first you need to be accountable. You need to accept that the change is from you. Because as coaches, there's only so much we can tell you, but the action has to come from them, right?
That's right.
And then you don't want to start the session with an accusatory manner, which can start to evolve into something else, right? So going back to finance though, I have a curious question in one part, which is, men today, younger men in their 30s, do they get upset when a woman earns more than them?
Oh, that is also another hot topic.
Really?
Yes. Okay, let's put it this way. I think a lot of people equate earning power with alphaness or masculinity.
True.
So I met a lot of like high earning, really powerful women,
Okay.
but they somehow have the magic of juggling and balancing that in the family.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there are a lot, but there are some people just have that. And I think that it doesn't have to be an equation whereby someone who earns a lot, a woman who earns a lot of money, therefore she is definitely going to be alpha. Because I feel that as women, we have that femininity that is equally powerful.
Yeah.
If you can search within us and really utilize and exude that femininity, we can move mountains. We can
Oh
melt.
yes, I truly believe. I think women can move mountains and more. It's so weird because I still see a lot of negative connotations of house husbands, for instance, and especially in our Asian culture, definitely for sure. And that if the man stays home, that means he's not
He was
good.
emasculated.
Yeah. So, is there advice or something that you can? I mean, if there is a match and they are perfect for each other, but perhaps she's earning a lot better and all that. So how would you deal with that?
Okay. Well, again, it goes back to like the masculinity and the femininity sort of things. In fact, you'll be surprised. I think the modern men, they are more accustomed to the idea of being a house husband.
Okay.
I live in Singapore for a few years, and I met couple whereby the women are out working, whereas the husbands stay home. I'm talking about Singapore and not even Malaysia.
Right.
The husbands were willingly raising the kids at home.
Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's perfectly fine. Women wanted to have this opportunity to career advancement, feminist. So why, and if your husband is willing to be that caregiver for your children and take care of all that mundane things, why not? Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
It's better than having a maid doing it.
Yeah.
Why not the husband?
Yes. And I always feel that sometimes we fixate like the gender role as to like the wife will have to naturally be the homemaker. You know?
Yeah.
But ultimately it should be who have the better trait, like are, better in handling children, because I've seen men who are better
really
in handling children than women.
Exactly. And I think there's that conversation. So we ultimately always talk about conversation between the couples where maybe as a husband and wife decide who's going to take the back.
Yep.
So I actually met this couple and they're both equally successful. But they had this deal that if they move country and it was because that person, whichever the partner is definitely earning more and all that, then the other partner will take a little back seat, but they will rotate, which I thought was very interesting. So there was a time where he was the one taking care of the children, she was doing the hustling, and but there was a mutual understanding. So they give each other space to which I think is very healthy. And why not? It's kind of like I'm at the phase where my husband is totally taking a back seat and he's taking all the taking care of me, making sure that I have the time and the space to do what I want.
What a blessing.
Yeah. So I'm really lucky, although a little bit late, but it's better late than never.
Better late than never.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going back to that about taking care and all those things. So as you know, a lot of women, especially over 30s, they may be, especially I noticed that single people, whether it's male or female, tends to be the one to take care of their parents.
Yes.
And that's something that And then when siblings get married and all that, it's just assumed that the single person will take care of them. And I have personally met where the burden is there for the caregiver, the sibling that has to take care of them because they get quote unquote stuck because there's that responsibility, yet they don't feel that they have a chance to meet with other people. So how do we do this?
Yeah. That is also, I think, especially in Asian families, the unmarried ones and single without any families are naturally taken up the roles of, taking care of the elderly parents. Well, I just a few weeks ago, I met one of the clients. She said she's in her early 40s. And she said, you know what? I'm really confused and stuck. Because she felt like, I love my parents and I want the best for them. And sometimes I look at them and like, if they've left, who do I have? I love them. I love taking care of them.
Right.
But sometimes she was just sharing that she's at the junction, she was very lost. And of course, the parents want her to find a partner. And she also feels that she needs a partner. But who will take care of the parents if she's married?
Right.
So I was just sharing with her, even as a matchmaker, I feel that you get to choose the path that you want. Right now, either you go through like a matchmaker or you just meet someone naturally, but eventually it is also very important, like what kind of partner that you have, that you bring forward and to journey life with you. A person that should understand where you're coming from. In fact, I would say 80 or 90% of our clients are really the ones that falls into that category. So they have a background that's similar. They become like the caregiver to their parents.
Which is a heavy burden, honestly.
It is a heavy burden. It is a heavy burden.
But besides having that conversation with a potential partner, is it wise to also have that discussion with the siblings if they have siblings?
Oh yes, of course, because they are parents. Just because she's a sole caregiver doesn't mean that all the responsibility will fall on her or his shoulder.
Exactly.
So that's how a family or sibling should work.
Right.
Yeah. And I look at myself, in my family, it's not my sister, even though my parents are quite independent.
Right.
Because my sister is the one that's single and doesn't have a family. So
she's the one?
She's the one who will say, okay, if our parents can't take care of themselves anymore, she would have to, probably quit her job and take care of them or with some help.
Right.
So the sibling, the rest of us will have to agree on some kind of arrangement in terms of financial support or emotional support to help with that. And I think it's part of our Asian culture.
But I see too often there is the assumption that especially with families living abroad, so they kind of like left it to that single sibling to handle everything. And I personally, having been a caregiver, think that it's not fair. And it's not fair to, like you said, like when the parents are no longer around and then you have dedicated your entire, a large portion of life where you have just taken care and you can't find, maybe too old to find somebody already given up. Which is kind of, how do you get that back?
Yeah. Okay. So I would have to admit, like, dating is getting more challenging for, whether men or women in the 40s and above. Okay. But I don't see that it should be like an all be all kind of option. Like, okay, you either have to take care of your parents or
it shouldn't be.
It should not be. Yeah, it should not be. So I'm sure that a lot of parents would be happy if you go out and meet people. Because as parents, as a mom myself, I want my kid to have a partner and go out and then live the world. And if I don't need to burden him, I will be more than happy. So it is also a balance. You need to also think about my job it's my responsibility to take care of parents,
Mm,
but also I can still look out for friends, or even if it's not a life partner, but you have a social support.
Yeah, I think you're so right that I believe that it is that person who make the assumptions that, oh, I better not go out because I need to be with my
Yep,
mom and
yeah,
dad, or
yeah.
I cannot do this. I think that, and then they build them, especially for women, because we get into that comfort zone.
Yep.
And then you start creating the story in your head
Yes.
that, oh, I cannot go out because my mom and dad needs me.
Yeah,
I shouldn't do this. But in actual fact, if you didn't have that conversation with your parents, may say, hey, we are fine. Please go, do.
Yeah.
We can put ourselves. We don't need, eventually.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So I think it is so true, because, and if you're single ladies out there, you got to stop thinking like that. You don't make the assumption that they are incapable to take care of themselves,
Yep.
and they really just want you to have your life.
Yeah.
But you have decided that it's probably easier just to be there. And then after that, you blame them for that, right?
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, we can talk forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
But we want to share with you on April 27th, this is
Mhm.
Monday, we'll be having a collaboration with Yvonne from Love Wins and myself, Karen from Women in Midlife, that we would have this event for ladies where we will be talking about relationships. And Yvonne will actually do some coaching to help you give ideas of how you should navigate relationship more as a mature woman. And also we have Cherise, who will be a psychiatrist working on therapy. So this is a hands-on therapy session to deal with your personal emotional journey. And of course, a lovely tea as well. So tune in, look, get the description, and find out more information. And also follow us so that you get more information about events, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we can.